Hello everyone! We are going to start with Chapter 8 now, building pay structures that also recognize employee contributions. So in order to do that, let's start with remembering what the pay structure is. So we actually did an exercise creating a pay structure with those control operators, operator 1, operator 2, operator 3, operator 4. Looked at those different pay grades and the ranges. And so I want you to remember that the pay structure is the whole thing. And so it is a way strategically to assign different pay rates for jobs of unequal worth and provides that framework for recognizing individual contributions. So this structure, as you can see over on the right, we have the grades, we have the ranges, and so you see those boundaries, the minimums and the maximums. And if we do it right, with all of our compensation pay structures, this will actually help us to attract and retain our valued employees. So this chapter, the first part of this chapter, is about how to construct a pay structure. And again, the pay structure is the whole thing, all right? And so we're going to go through each of the steps. And the first step is trying to decide on the number of pay structures. And you can establish pay structures based on a number of different things. So in your organization, if it makes sense, you may have a structure for exempt employees, and you may have a structure for non-exempt employees. You may have a structure, different structures for different job families, and that's the like managerial and executive and professional and technical and clerical types of employees. So looking at those different job families. You may also choose to have different pay structures based on geography. As we know, it's a different cost of living in Mississippi than it is in New York City. So you may choose to have those different pay structures based on geography. The second step, so the first step, how many pay structures? The second step is to determine that market pay line. And the market pay line is what we just did in Chapter 7, where we are looking at the typical market salaries based on our job structures. All right, so this is that internal side, the job evaluation points that we have assigned based on our job evaluation. And then we're comparing that to the annual salary out in the market. And we like the median more than the mean to establish that. So we're just trying to establish the representative or the typical market pay rates relative to our own internal job structure. So in Chapter 6, we did a wage curve versus the market pay line. And the wage curve was our internal, the internal salaries that we're paying with, and then matching that with our internal job structure with those job evaluation points. So those are two different things, but both are very, very valuable. And then we're going to look at if we want to lead the market, match the market, or lag the market. Step 3 has to do with the pay grades. The pay grades are the horizontal, they're going to be your horizontal dimension in the pay structure. That's those job evaluation points in the job structure. And if you remember, that's kind of looking at, you want to differentially have different points for different compensable factors. And so you're going to group jobs that have similar compensable factors. Remember, this is for a single pay structure. So if you did a pay structure for all exempt employees, that's all you're looking at is the exempt employees, and we're going to put into a grade, a pay grade, all those exempt employees with similar compensable factors. All right. Then there are this wider and narrower. So a wider pay grade gives you more latitude. So instead of going from 100 to 200 points, maybe you're going from 100 to 400 points. And so that greater spread means that there's less of a hierarchy within the organization. Things are flatter. It's a lot easier for people to change jobs within a single pay grade than it is to go to a completely new pay grade. So then those narrower pay grades tend to promote more of a hierarchy, and some people really like that because they like to know what that progression is going to look like. They want to have a very clearly identified job promotion plan. So it really, again, it's going to be strategic for your organization if you want to go with wider pay grades or narrower pay grades. Wider pay grades are nice if you have good managerial structure in place so that managers are able to express, have better latitude and really understand when people need a promotion and when they don't. Okay. Let's see. Moving on, we're going to calculate pay ranges now for each pay grade. So the pay grades, horizontal. Pay ranges are the vertical piece. And what we're trying to establish with the pay ranges is where we have an opportunity to really recognize those individual differences. So the grade is going to tell us more about the job itself, the job structure, and then the range is more about the individual in the job. So what's their education, their experience, their credentials, certifications? Those are the types of things that are going to separate where people are in the pay range. All right. And so what is the midpoint pay value? The midpoint is just that. You're really, if you're looking at the market, we may want our median to be right there if we have a market match policy. But generally it represents that competitive market pay or average, the median. And then if it's, we'll talk about that in a second. So the pay spread, the range spread, is the difference between the minimum and the maximum pay rates. That's all it is. Very simple. And we'll be calculating that in a second. So when we're talking about that, all of these things are strategic, and so we have a market match policy. Our median pay for those grades are going to be right around the median pay for the market. If we have a market lead strategy, then that means we're leading the market. We're going to pay more than the market. If we have a market lag policy, then we will pay less than the market. And again, you may have different pay policies for different pay structures. So you need to look, which employees should you be paying more, which are more strategic, which are more mission critical. You might have a market lead policy for them, but then for other roles, administrative roles or things that are easy to hire for and easy to train for, you may have either a market match or a market lag. So you really have to think about how you want to do that. So if you look here, our medians, all right, here, I know I keep forgetting with my pen, it's right here, right here, right here, right? So our median is here. Well, that was a horrible line, but you get the point. The market pay line is here. So if our median pay, if our internal pay is higher Then the market pay, that's showing we have a market lead policy. Okay, so when we're talking about the range spread, you can see that the minimum maximum is here and here. Oftentimes your different pay grades have an overlap. And again, it just makes it easier to promote people. So you're not giving them a big pay raise. So if you're here and you're going to promote somebody, and you can easily keep them into a reasonable promotion of salary as well as a rank. And whereas if it's like this, it makes it a lot more difficult. So most of the time, those pay grades will have an overlap in the pay range. Okay. And in the next section, I'm going to do the crunch the numbers. So stay tuned.